Now, moving on with the day, I would like to invite Mr. Rishav Dutta to deliver his session on the significance of soft skills. But before that, let me give you a brief introduction of Rishav sir. Mr. Rishav Dutta is an assistant professor of English at ICFAI and the ICFAI University, Jaipur. He has submitted his PhD thesis at Department of English at the Central University of Rajasthan, focusing on translation and literature of Indian Adivasi communities. His research interests span a wide range, including post-colonial literature and theory, translational studies, Adivasi folklore and literature, cultural studies, graphic narratives, and performance studies. He has presented his research findings at numerous national and international conferences and has been awarded the prestigious ICSSR Travel Grant for presenting his work in universities in Europe in 2022. His academic contributions include multiple book chapters and articles in reputed Scopus indexed human journals. Now, I would like to hand over the mic to Mr. Rishav Dutta. Please welcome him with a huge round of applause.
Thank you, everyone. So I have been feeling a bit under the weather, which is why you will have to bear with me, right? So before we start the discussion on what is soft skills and why is it necessary, why is it important, I would like to ask you first, what do you think soft skills are? Soft skills क्या है आपको क्या लगता है? Pass on the mics before we discuss further on soft skills, and I wanted to discuss on workplace dialogue in the digital age. So before we move on to that, I would like to ask, what do you think soft skills are? Although classes में ये सब हम बातचीत करेंगे, in the weeks to come. But before we start with that, I would like to know, what do you think soft skills are? Soft skills है क्या चीज? Yes.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर। जैसे नॉन टेक्निकल स्किल्स, जैसे कि किसी के साथ इंटरेक्शन जो करते हैं, बातचीत करते
हैं। Anybody else? Yes.
सर जैसे कम्युनिकेशन एंड प्रेजेंटेशन ये सब सॉफ्ट स्किल में आ जाते हैं धीरे।
Right. So these are, personal attributes and skills that help you interact with people. Now, there is a difference between hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills क्या है? Your technical knowledge, programming, coding, जो आप क्लास में सीखोगे, your subject knowledge, वो है hard skills. Soft skills क्या है? Soft skills is how you present it to somebody. So until and unless यहाँ पे soft skills and language की importance की बात आ जाती है, until and unless you understand, you master how to express, how to share, how to present, how to interact, how to manage time, how to manage what you know in a proper, organize it in a proper way and present it to somebody. So this is why soft skills बहुत necessary है, क्योंकि जब तक आप share नहीं करते हो, जब तक आप उस चीज को present नहीं करते हो, जब तक आप उस चीज को properly organize करके आपके team members, peers, your boss or whoever it is, even your parents, जब तक आप उस चीज को present नहीं कर पाते हो, share नहीं कर पाते हो, there is no use of your hard skills. You may know a lot of, you may have talent in coding, you may have your talent in writing something, technical knowledge में आप हो सकते हैं कि बहुत अच्छी तरह आपकी sound knowledge है, पकड़ है बहुत अच्छी तरह. But until and unless you share it with somebody, until and unless you present it to somebody, there is no use of what you know. So this is why communication, and more so कम्युनिकेशन इन इंग्लिश, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाती है. To start with our discussion, शुरू में ही एक चीज मैं बोलना चाहूंगा, and I think I will keep repeating this whenever I meet you in classes, that take English as a language only. Do not take English, the language English, as a benchmark that decides कि आप कितना जानते हो, आपकी नॉलेज कितना स्ट्रांग है, कितना क्या नहीं है. This is a language as simple as that. So soft skills यहाँ पे important हो जाती है कि not just in English but in any language. How do you present it? So you need to master the skills of sharing things. You need to master the skills of presenting things in an organized manner, be it in any language. Okay. So getting back to our topic. मुझे लगा कि बाकी कम्युनिकेशन पे तो हम बातचीत करते ही रहेंगे in the weeks to come. But what about mastering workplace dialogue in a digital age? We know that since COVID happened, the world around us has changed completely because बहुत ज्यादा हम digitally sound होने लगे हैं. I don't remember using GPay and whatever electronic transfer of money before 2020. और आज अभी जो मैं ये कॉफी लेके आया हूँ यहाँ पे, वो भी मैं GPay करके आया हूँ. I'm not carrying cash. So with the digital age, the world has changed a lot. There are many things that have become very easy to us. बहुत कुछ easy हो गया है, right? You can meet people over a long distance, right? Very easily. Zoom link, Meet link, whatever it is. Virtually, लोगों के साथ meet करना, बात करना, plan करना, कुछ transfer करना, बहुत easy हो गया है. But at the same time, there are things जो बहुत मुश्किल भी हो गया है. What is that? Communication. Why? Because again, communication in English, it has changed in the digital age. Of course, there are certain, good things have happened, but at the same time, there are challenges as well. So, as you can see, I have tried to put on something, quantitative data over here. 86% of employees cite lack of effective communication as the primary cause of workplace failures. Now, workplace failure का मतलब क्या है? That is, teams, employees, they have been given some work, some project, and they have failed to deliver. Why? 86% of employees, they have cited that communication gap. In the digital age, in workplace dialogue, workplace communication, you can see that one of the primary reasons of failure to deliver work, failure to deliver whatever आपको जो काम दिया गया है उसको प्रॉपर तरीके से डिलीवर करो. Employees have failed to do that, and they have cited that one of the primary reasons is communication. When we look at such numbers, तब हमें पता लगता है कि communication कितना important है. Otherwise, in our everyday communication, we don't really, concentrate, focus on how important communication is when it comes to work, when it comes to delivering work. Now, poor communication costs organizations an average of $62.4 million. ये dollars में ये हिसाब है क्योंकि I wanted to give you a global picture. So, because of poor communication, because of failure to communicate effectively in the workplace, an average of $62.4 million USD it has caused organizations. And remote work क्या है? Work from home. Something which is in frequency आज के दिन. We can see ज़्यादातर companies they are preferring remote work from home. Why? Because उससे क्या होता है? Office लेने की जरूरत नहीं होती है. Office places, people can work directly from their home. Now remote work, working from your home, working from a particular place distant from the office space. उससे क्या हो रहा है? Increased communication challenges by 43%. So we can see these numbers, they show us that how important workplace communication is and how difficult it has become in the digital age. Why? Mostly because we are not communicating in person. When we talk about digital age, when we talk about communicating in the digital age, when we talk about communicating in the workplace, in this digital era, what we primarily get to see is people are communicating less in person. आप खुद के बारे में ही सोचो, कितना आप टेक्स्ट करते हो और कितना आप कॉल पे बात करते हो, और कितना आप इन पर्सन मीट करके बात करते हो. There was a time जब हमारे पास इन पर्सन कम्युनिकेशन के अलावा किसी तरीके की मीटिंग, we could not have thought about a meeting without communicating in person. But in today's world, of course, ये सब कुछ हुआ है because of certain reasons. In today's world, in the digital world, what we see is we are relying more on virtual communication, which is why we can see the challenges of communicating effectively. Of course, यहाँ पे ये effectively word बहुत important है because the other day one of our speakers he was explaining why is it important to communicate effectively. There is a difference between communicating and communicating effectively. Effectively मतलब what is the difference between effective communication and communication as it is? Can anybody tell me what is the difference? Yes.
सर कम्युनिकेशन इफेक्टिवली मतलब होता है कि हम लोग किसी की बात ढंग से ध्यान से एकदम फोकस करके सुन रहे हैं, वी आर लर्निंग फ्रॉम इट. और कम्युनिकेशन की जब हम बस सुन रहे हैं, बस आवाज आ रही है हम लोग.
Yes, that's the difference between hearing and listening. But there is another distinction, that is effective communication. Effective communication क्या है? The main difference is effective communication में feedback होता है. So I say something, we will all discuss this in the class. ठीक है, class में ये सब कुछ हम discuss करेंगे. In any communication model, you will get to see that there is a speaker and then there is a listener. So the speaker is saying something, the listener is listening to it. Now there is a difference between hearing and listening, जो अभी आपकी फ्रेंड ने बहुत अच्छी तरीके से समझाया कि हियरिंग इज सिर्फ आवाज आ रही है उसको सुनना, लिसनिंग इज उसको ध्यान से सुनना. Effective communication is when there is feedback. The speaker is saying something, the listener is listening to it, and the listener is generating feedback. आयुष यहाँ पे नॉड कर रहा. So this nodding is also feedback. It is a feedback. So I understand that जो भी मैं बोल रहा हूँ, आयुष सुन भी रहा है ध्यान से और उसको समझ भी आ रहा है. जब समझ आएगा तब होगा ये effective communication. So there must be feedback. Until and unless there is feedback, effective communication नहीं हो सकता. So आज हम क्या यहाँ पे क्या डिस्कस करेंगे? Decoding the anatomy of effective workplace communication. Anatomy matlab the structure, internal structure of workplace communication. What is the anatomy of it? What is the deep structure of workplace communication? Navigating digital communication channels strategically. किस तरीके से हम digital communication जो channels होते हैं, channels क्या है वो भी मैं अभी बताऊंगा. उसको किस तरीके से हम navigate करेंगे, मतलब how to find your way through it. Mastering difficult conversations and conflict resolution, इसके लिए मेरे पास एक activity है. Building high performing communication cultures and applying advanced listening and feedback techniques. Feedback. So the whole point of effective communication in workplace is how you navigate your way through the challenges that digital communication is throwing towards you. As I was saying, virtual communication. Now, virtual communication in workplace, something that you will be encountering once you get placed in companies. Because digital age is here to stay. Digital age कल change नहीं होने वाला. So the challenges will only increase. So how do we navigate our ways through these challenges? How do we master it? And to master it, it is important to understand the structure, deep structure, the anatomy of workplace communication. So as you can see, I have mentioned some, 4 pillars of workplace communication. Now, what are these 4 pillars? Clarity. Clarity, which means message, precision, and understanding. Now, whatever you communicate, whatever you try to communicate, there must be clarity to it. That is precision, precise, exact, perfect. पता है सबसे मुश्किल काम क्या है? Before you share something, communicate something with your friend, with anybody, पहले ये समझना कि मुझे इस चीज के बारे में अच्छी तरीके से पता है क्या. ज्यादातर what I have encountered, what I have observed is we ourselves don't know what we are trying to communicate. So पहले खुद को पता होना चाहिए. जब मैं स्टूडेंट से बात करता हूँ, students come to me with questions, with something to share, some comment, some observation. It takes them around 2 to 3 minutes to get to the point. वो एक मीम आता है ना, कहना क्या चाहते हो, तो वो एक्सप्रेशन होता है मेरे दिमाग में कि कहना क्या चाहते हो. So it is very important before you start communicating, before you say something, before you present something to somebody, it is important for you to understand it very clearly first. Once you have clarity in your mind, once you know what you are talking about, what is the message, ज्यादातर क्या होता है कि हमें खुद को नहीं पता, या फिर पता तो है but not in an organized manner. So how do you organize it? How do you make it precise? So the clarity is one of the pillars of workplace communication. Now what is the second pillar? That is channel, which is very, very important. Channel क्या है? जैसे मैं communication model के बारे में बता रहा था, that there is a speaker, there is a listener. The speaker is, transferring some message, and the listener is generating feedback. Now, channel is the medium through which that message is getting transferred and the feedback is being generated or communicated to the speaker. Now, why is it important, channel? Because आप कौन सा चैनल यूज करोगे to communicate in a workplace that shows whether you understand the seriousness of the conversation or not. There are certain channels जिसको हम official या serious channels नहीं मानते. For example, WhatsApp. Which is why I was telling you the other day that make writing emails, sending emails a habit. Because the environment that you are in, this is an official environment, right? So whatever official information you want to communicate, you want to share, it must come through emails. Why? Because emails are considered official, serious channels of communication. One of the channels. Now, if you share something informal or casual with your friend, कि कल मिलने जा रहा है वहाँ पे, you know, venue ये है, cafe में हम मिलेंगे कल, and we will have a small party, then we'll go to, you know, watch this movie and all. अगर वो आप ईमेल करते हो तो आपको आपके फ्रेंड को क्या लगेगा कि पागल हो गया है, इसके लिए ईमेल कौन करता है? You know, I have done this with some of my friends. किसी को कुछ, you know, ट्रांसफर करना था, स्क्रीनशॉट लेके वो मेल कर दिया कि भाई देख तुझे पैसा मैंने भेज दिया. So this is for fun, okay, ठीक है. But to make things, you know, official, you should always pay attention to the channel that you are using while communicating. Why? Because it also depends on the context. Context क्या? There are multiple scenarios. हो सकता है कि आपके जो, you know, colleague है workplace में, you want to share something with your colleague. Now, colleague जब हम बात करते हैं तो आपको लगता है कि ये official है, workplace situation आ रहा है, but you are sharing something very informal, very casual, very personal. Even if it's your colleague, it is not advisable that you email that person. But you are sharing something which is official about a meeting being scheduled on some day. So that is not advisable to, it is not advisable that you WhatsApp that person. Although abhi communication usually, virtual communication जो है ज़्यादातर WhatsApp पे ही होती है. But choosing the right channel is very important to bypass or get away with the challenges that I was speaking of. The third pillar is context. So एक चीज होती है text, एक होता है context. Text is what? बात क्या है? The actual message. That is text. You know, it's very interesting that we usually think of texts that is something which is written. हम usually text के बारे में सोचते हैं something that is written. Text is not just something that is in black and white, something that is in ink, something that is in written format. Text can be your shirt. That is also text. Text can be the music, the song that you are listening to, because that is a message. Text can be the photograph that you took of the campus, maybe, of the first day. That is text. Now, what is context? Context is the social and cultural awareness of it. It's a social placement क्या है? That this is a photograph of a university campus or a building. The shirt that I am wearing, it has a particular social or cultural significance. फॉर एग्जाम्पल यहाँ पे कोई कल्चरल फंक्शन हो रहा है एंड आई एम वेयरिंग अ पर्टिकुलर कुर्ता. नाउ दैट कुर्ता मे हैव सम मोटिव्स. मोटिव मतलब उसमें जो कुछ ड्राइंग्स टाइप होती है, दैट इज मोटिव. उसको मोटिव होते हैं, MOTIF. So that has some motifs on it. Now that particular kurta and the motifs on it, the color, it might have some cultural significance. So ये जो cultural significance है, ये जो symbolic significance है, that is the context. और text क्या है? The kurta that I'm wearing. So you need to remember when we talk about text in communication, text मतलब सिर्फ book, letter, something in written नहीं. Because these are all messages. What I am wearing is a message that I am emitting. What I am listening to is a message. What I am painting is a message. ये सब message. So जब हम workplace communication की बात करते हैं, coming back to the topic. So workplace communication में भी apart from clarity of message, अभी थोड़ी देर पहले यही बात कर रहे थे, precision, having a very clear idea of what message I want to share or communicate. The channel, and the third point is context. Understanding the context of what I am sharing, what I am saying, what I am communicating. Understanding the context or trying to understand the context would actually reduce multiple conflicts in workplace communication. ज़्यादातर conflicts इसी से reduce हो जाती हैं. Once you try to understand, even if you don't understand, the gesture that you are trying to understand something, इस gesture से ही half problem यहीं पे solve हो जाती है. Right? Now the fourth pillar is connection. That is building relationships through dialogue. Dialogue क्या है? Dialogue मतलब सिर्फ movies में जो actors बोलते हैं वो dialogue नहीं है. Dialogue is when two people talk. Monologue is जब कोई एक बात करता है. Dialogue क्या है? Usually हम dialogue, ये जो word है ये Greek word है. So during those days, जब Greek plays used to take place, वो in a form of dialogue, that person one is saying something, person two is saying something, इस तरीके से उसको लिखा गया scripture में. So that is dialogue. So building relationships through dialogue. Now it is important to understand कि सिर्फ जब हम relationship की बात करते हैं, relationship मतलब romantic relationships नहीं. Relationships मतलब in any form, relation in any form. So once you try to establish a relation in the workplace, you will be able to understand what the context of the topic that the other person is trying to communicate. Because जब आप relationship build करने की कोशिश करते हो, जब तक आप उस context को नहीं समझोगे, वो relationship build नहीं होगा. So trying to establish a connection with the other person, that is very important to reduce conflict in workplace communication, more so in the digital age. So the four pillars of workplace communication is clarity, channel, context, and connection. Now there is the insight that 93% of communication effectiveness comes from non-verbal cues and tone challenging in digital environments. So ये एक और प्रॉब्लम है जो मैं भी बता रहा था कि in this digital age we can see that ज्यादातर हम virtual communication पे depend करते हैं. And virtual communication में one of the main issues with virtual communication is you don't get to see or observe the non-verbal cues of the other person. Non-verbal cue क्या होता है? Anybody? Non-verbal cues. Yes. Body language is, yes, one of the cues. Anybody else? जैसे मैं बता रहा था कि टेक्स्ट सिर्फ जो लिखा हुआ है वो नहीं, द शर्ट, द म्यूजिक, व्हाटएवर, सब कुछ टेक्स्ट है. इसी तरीके से नॉन वर्बल क्यूज आर आल्सो इन अ वे टेक्स्ट्स जो हम ऑब्जर्व करते हैं, जो हम फॉलो करते हैं. द वे a person carries himself or herself, the way a person says something. You can say a single sentence in 10 different ways, and there will be 10 different meanings of it. But when you rely on textual communication, when you rely on virtual communication, the problem is you don't get to observe the non-verbal cues. किस तरीके से this particular person is saying something or saying this particular thing. So 93% of communication effectiveness comes from non-verbal cues and tone. जो digital environment में, digital era में, workplace communication में one of the challenges, big challenges की तरह present हो चुकी है. So as I was saying, that it is very important to choose the right channel to communicate in workplace. What are these channels? First is email. Now email is best for documentation, formal updates. जैसे मैं बता रहा था कि if you want to share something, something that is official, something that is, serious, something that is, related to your work, it is important that you share it through emails, and you should avoid emails in complex discussions. And usually the response time is 24 to 48 hours. What we can see is usually जब हम emails करते हैं, reply response time होता है usually our average time is 24 to 48 hours. So obviously अगर कोई urgent matter कि 15 मिनट में एक मीटिंग शेड्यूल हो रहा है, it is not advisable that you choose email as a channel. Why? Because the average response time is for emails 24 to 48 hours. So complex discussions, urgent matters, it is advisable that you avoid emails for it. Now instant messaging, that is WhatsApp, Instagram, DM, Twitter, DMs. So instant messaging is best for quick questions and team coordination. So you need to coordinate something, you need to coordinate with your team to get something done, and which is of urgent significance. Abhi chahiye. Urgent hai. You need to coordinate with other team members. It is not advisable that you go for emails. Why? Because हो सकता है कि email देखने में बाकी team members को time लग जाए. Because when you email something, you can expect a reply or a response after some time. It would take some time for that person to get back to you. So when you need to coordinate with your team members on some urgent matter, you can go for instant messaging. Avoid instant messaging for sensitive feedback, detailed instructions. So I'm not going in detail in all through this, but you can have an understanding of what are the channels when it comes to workplace communication, and what should you go for, which channel should you go for in a particular context. So as this slide shows that one of the four pillars is clarity, channel, context, and connection. I would say that it depends on the context of the topic, of what you are communicating. It depends on the context to decide which channel to choose. Because ultimately, what is your end goal? Your end goal is build relationships, build connections. और वो कब हो सकता है जब क्लैरिटी होगी मैसेज में. So that is the relation between these four pillars. That is how they are interconnected. It is important to understand the context. It is important to decide which channel to go for, because ultimately we are looking for building connections, and वो तभी हो सकता है जो मैसेज में क्लैरिटी है. That's why these are the four pillars. Now, I have come up with this formula, communication success formula. What is that? The formula is clear, because we were talking about clarity and everything. The formula is clear. What is clear? That is concise, logical, empathetic, actionable, and respectful. If you focus on this 5 things, clear, concise का मतलब क्या है? That is getting to the point quickly, not beating around the bush, इधर उधर के बारे में. Getting to the point quickly. What are you trying to deliver? What are you trying to share? What are you trying to communicate? When it comes to workplace communication, time is of significance. Time is very important. You need to save your time, you need to save the other person's time. अगर आप वर्क प्लेस में किसी के साथ कुछ शेयर करना चाहते हो, कुछ डिस्कस करना चाहते हो, अगर आप सिर्फ इधर उधर की बातें करोगे, before getting to the point, that person will get irritated. So that will not help you or that person or the company. So the first thing of clear is concise. Next is logical. जब आप लॉजिकल समझोगे तब कंसेप्ट वैसे ही हो जाएगा. लॉजिकल इज स्ट्रक्चरिंग योर मैसेज इन अ ऑर्गेनाइज्ड मैनर. सो यूजुअली स्ट्रक्चर करने का तरीका क्या है? पिरामिड फ्रॉम ग्राउंड अप. दैट इज गिविंग द कंटेक्स्ट फर्स्ट, देन कमिंग टू द प्रिसाइज पॉइंट वन बाय वन. फर्स्ट द टॉपिक क्या है, कंटेक्स्ट क्या है, देन gradually proceeding to the main points, एक एक करके. So that's how you build a pyramid from ground up. Now, if I want to share something maybe with my boss, now my boss is busy, my boss is overburdened with a lot of work. अभी मैं जाके बस ये बोलूं कि सर इस प्रोजेक्ट में ये प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है, इस वजह से ये नहीं हो पा रहा. Now it will take my boss or whoever it is, my team leader or somebody, to understand कि बात किस चीज की हो रही है, टॉपिक क्या है, कौन सी प्रोजेक्ट, क्या है पर्पस. So same thing goes for any communication other than casual conversations with your friends or anybody. Casual conversations में organize करने की इतनी जरूरत नहीं होती है, because in any way you are passing time. But जब workplace communication की बात होती है, जब official communication की बात होती है, it is important to build that pyramid. बहुत बार मेरे साथ ये हुआ है, some student coming up to me, sir ये problem आ रहा है, इस चीज में ये प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है. Now I need to understand. It is up to me कि कौन सी क्लास से है ये, क्या प्रोजेक्ट मैंने दिया था, कैसा क्या असाइनमेंट मैंने दिया था, टॉपिक क्या था उस चीज का. पर्टिकुलर हो सकता है कि कोई ग्रुप मैंने बना दिया था. So I need to understand all of this. Now I need to process first. कि क्या था, context क्या है इस चीज का, तब जाके मैं I will understand what the problem is. So to make things, your message concise, it is important to structure it in a pyramid structure. Empathetic. Now empathy क्या है? Anybody? What is empathy? People are yawning. I will not take much of your time because we are going to discuss all of this later on as well. Empathy. Anybody? Already यहाँ पे कुछ लिखा हुआ है. Consider your audience's perspective. Yes. Empathy. Anybody? एक और वर्ड सुना होगा आपने, sympathy. There is a difference between sympathy and empathy. Empathy is when you try to understand the feelings of the other person with whom you are communicating. Why is it important? Again, to understand the context. So you empathize with the other person. Maybe tomorrow you become a team leader. You have designed a project and one of your team members is not delivering what he or she has to or had to on time. Now empathy क्या है? जब आप समझने की कोशिश करते हो कि क्या प्रॉब्लम आ सकती है. If you do not empathize, इसका मतलब ये है you are not trying to understand the other person's perspective. If I say that English communication is so easy, I have already given you the structure, you just need to follow and you deliver. अब आके मुझे बताते हो कि सर नहीं हो पा रहा ये जो असाइनमेंट आपने दिया ये नहीं हो पा, या फिर ये प्रेजेंटेशन जो आपने दिया था कल करना है क्लास में, देना है प्रेजेंटेशन, ये नहीं हो पा रहा. अब अगर मैं बोलूं कि अरे ऑलरेडी मैंने फॉर्मूला दे दिया आपको, स्ट्रक्चर दे दिया, प्रेजेंटेशन बता दिया कि 4 स्लाइड 5 स्लाइड करना है, बस इंग्लिश में बताना है, और क्या है इसमें, टॉपिक भी आपको पता है, इजी टॉपिक है. क्या होगा यहाँ पे? कम्युनिकेशन ब्रेकडाउन. दैट इज नॉट जस्ट कि हम दोनों एक दूसरे को नहीं समझेंगे, बट ऑल्सो there will be no opportunity or space to take this communication further. बस ये नहीं कि अभी के लिए communication breakdown होगा. जब ऐसा होता है, when you do not empathize, the other person feels that there is no need to communicate further. So, just आज के लिए communication breakdown नहीं होगा, for future as well. So in our workplace, try to imagine what this can lead to. Somebody who refuses to talk to somebody or work with somebody. Ultimately suffer कौन करेगा? The team, the company, you, everybody. So it is important, very important when it comes to empathy. It is very important that you try to understand. Again, मैं ये बोलूँगा कि even if you do not understand, even if you do not, you don't get it, the other person's perspective, it is very important कि आप कोशिश करो समझने की. The gesture, I'm again repeating myself, the gesture that you are trying to empathize, you are trying to understand the other person's perspective. आप मुझे बोल सकते हो कि सर आप एक बार मेरा perspective सोचो. Try to get in my shoes and try to understand कि क्यों नहीं होगा ये. I know I have to make 4 or 5 slides, but these are some of the reasons. Now you will feel encouraged or motivated to share these things with me कि क्या problem हो रहा है. Once you understand that I am trying to empathize, I am trying to get your perspective, understand your perspective. Until and unless I make that effort, you will not feel motivated enough or encouraged enough to share कि क्या प्रॉब्लम है। आज सुबह जो सेशन वहां पे चल रहा था, यहाँ पे जो लाइव स्ट्रीम हुआ था, somebody asked कि हम ऐसे क्या मतलब how do we engage a person that he or she feels that he or she can share something with me if he or she is going through something. How do I engage that person? मैं ऐसा क्या कर सकता हूँ, क्या बोल सकता हूँ ताकि उसको लगे कि मैं ये चीज शेयर कर सकता हूँ उससे. That is all about empathy. When you try to understand the other person's perspective, what that person is going through. So this is, this applies for personal communications as well as workplace communications. Workplace communication में बहुत ज़्यादा important हो जाते हैं because ultimately again जैसे मैं बता रहा था, time is of importance. You need to save time. So if you do not try to empathize, if you do not empathize, if you do not understand, try to understand the other person's perspective, ultimately क्या होगा? Ultimately communication breakdown, time save नहीं होगा. Actionable is including clear next steps. So जब workplace communication की बात होती है, workplace communication में जैसे मैं बता रहा था कि time save करना is very important. So when you communicate with a person in a workplace, your focus rests on actions. So even if you communicate or share something with the other person, it must be action oriented. That we need to do this, we need to do that. Action oriented कब हो सकता है? जब आपको बहुत अच्छी तरीके से पता है कि टॉपिक क्या है, बात क्या हो रही है, एंड अल्टीमेट एंड गोल क्या है. और ये कब पता चलेगा? जब आप ऑर्गेनाइज करोगे ठीक तरीके से. And respectful. Now that's very important because ultimately in a workplace, even if you are the team leader, even if you are senior to somebody, even if you are junior to somebody, you need to maintain that professional tone because everybody is there because of merit. So we do not respect somebody's age. We respect merit. We respect experience. Right? So being respectful is another important, one of the success formulas. So as you can see that I have kept a message over here. Hey everyone. So there's this thing we need to talk about regarding the project and some stuff isn't working right and we should probably meet some time to figure it out. So ये ऑफिशियल मैसेज है, ऑफिशियल लग रहा है मैसेज that we need to meet and some stuff is not working. We need to talk about it, we need to work on it. Does it look like an official message? Yes? No. Why? Because यहाँ पे कुछ words ऐसे use हो चुके हैं which are vague. Vague मतलब clear नहीं है. Proper meaning समझ नहीं आ रहा है उससे. That is, hey everyone. So there's this thing we need to talk about regarding the project. What's the thing? There's this thing. What is the thing? And some stuff isn't working right. Stuff, very casual. We don't use such words in official workplace communications. We don't use contractions, which I'm sure कि आगे जाके 3 साल से मैं बोलता रहूंगा. क्योंकि आंसर स्क्रिप्ट्स में भी आप कंट्रैक्शंस यूज करते हो. कंट्रैक्शन क्या है? isn't, don't, wouldn't, shouldn't. ये है कंट्रैक्शन जब आप अपॉस्ट्रोफी यूज करते हो. जो यूजुअली हम करते हैं, we have become very used to it. ऑफिशियल कम्युनिकेशन में मैं आज बोल रहा हूँ, try to remember this. Your answer scripts are also official. They are not casual conversations. Right? You write something answering your questions, and that is official. So, contractions, we do not use contractions in official communication. Okay? So, some stuff isn't working right. What is this stuff? First of all, stuff is very casual. Now, what is this stuff? And we should probably meet some time to figure it out. When? Nothing is clear. क्या प्रॉब्लम है, क्या ठीक से काम नहीं हो रहा, नथिंग, कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा. So this is I would like some of you to use the clear formula and turn it into something which can be taken as official. इस मैसेज को हम किस तरीके से ऑफिशियल मैसेज बना सकते हैं? I would like some of you to try. Anybody? Content यही रहेगा कि कुछ प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है, प्रोजेक्ट को लेके कुछ बात करनी है, and we need some time to figure it out. कभी मीट करना है, इसके बारे में बात करना है. How do we make this message sound very official? जिससे हम ये clear formula use कर सकते हैं. Anybody? Yes.
Good morning, everybody. There is a problem in the project that we were working on, and I have encountered a bug. And I would like all of us to meet after the lunch time so that we can figure out what to do with this problem.
Okay. Better. Anybody else? Anybody else? Yes. Next, I would like to have somebody from the back. Okay.
Hey everyone, so there's this PowerPoint presentation we need to talk about regarding the project, and we will meet after lunch at my office or to talk about it.
Okay. Somebody from the back. Somebody from the back. How do we transform this message, which is very informal, as I mentioned, into something official, something that suits the purpose? Ready? Okay. So look at this. I have noticed, again यहाँ पे contraction नहीं होना चाहिए था. Anyway, I have noticed some issues with the project that need our attention. I understand we are all juggling multiple tasks, but it would really help if we could meet soon to discuss what's not working and find a way forward together. Could you please share your availability for a quick meeting? Thanks for your time and support. This sounds much official. Why? I have noticed some issues with the project that need our attention. This is the issue, the problem. I understand we are all juggling multiple tasks, but it would really help if we could meet soon to discuss what's not working and find a way forward together. What is this? You can. That I understand we are all juggling multiple tasks. Yes. Empathy. Yes. This is empathy. Even if you understand this, again, this applies to all communication, Even if you understand that the other person is going through something, might be going through something, it is important to mention that. जब तक हम ये mention नहीं करते हैं, we cannot expect the other person to understand that I might be, observing that he or she is going through something. जब तक मैं ये मेंशन नहीं करूंगा कि मैं समझ सकता हूं कि आप किसी प्रॉब्लम से गुजर रहे हैं या फिर आप बहुत बिजी हैं, तब तक आपको नहीं लगेगा कि मैं जानने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं या फिर मुझे पता है कि आप बहुत बिजी हो. इसीलिए एम्पैथी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाती है ऑफिशियल कम्युनिकेशन में, दैट यू नीड टू मेंशन इट. So I understand we are all juggling multiple tasks, but it would really help if we could meet soon to discuss what's not working and find a way forward together. That is action oriented. We need to find a way forward together. Could you please share your availability for a quick meeting? Thanks for your time and support. This is respectful professionalism. So you respect the other person's time. You respect the other person's, engagements, and you ask for availability. Now, I would like to conclude, but before that, another activity, and now I would like to have all of you participate in this. So, since we are talking about communication, workplace communication in the digital age, और जहाँ से मैंने शुरू किया था कि डिजिटल एज में बहुत सारे एडवांटेजेस हैं, but at the same time there are challenges, and one of the challenges is conflicts, frequent conflicts of communication. So how do we navigate our way through these conflicts? How do we, try to reduce these conflicts in a workplace? Now, for that, again, since I'm very fond of such anagrams, I have another method, that is peace. What is peace? Prepare, empathize, again, analyze, collaborate, and evaluate. To address any conflict, any workplace conflict, we can follow these steps, which would, even if it does not resolve the conflict, it will at least make things easier. So the peace method. So first is prepare. तो ये अभी conflict मतलब क्या है? Conflict मतलब है कि you need some people to work together. You need to address some problem, some conflict in your workplace, and to reduce it, to resolve it, you need to follow certain steps. So, to address any conflict, any communication problem, any communication breakdowns, first you need to prepare. Prepare matlab gather your facts, gather the points. हम ऐसे बोलते हैं ना कि जब हम ऐसे लड़ाई झगड़ा करते हैं तो अगर किसी ने कुछ उल्टा सीधा गलत बोल दिया तो हम बोलते हैं कि भाई गेट योर फैक्ट्स राइट पहले, कि कुछ भी बोले जा रहा है. So first is gathering the facts, getting your information right. So preparing yourself first. To address any conflict, the first step is gathering facts, gathering information, anything related to the conflict, related to the topic. Next is empathize. We have already talked about this. Analyze. Now, analyze क्या है? Identifying the causes of this problem. Again, मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ, it's not just workplace communication. Any conflict in communication, in any situation, you can apply this method. So you prepare yourself first, you gather your information first, you gather all facts, you empathize, you try to empathize, and then analyze. That is, trying to identify the root causes. The causes क्या है यहाँ? why is this, this conflict has arisen? Collaborate. Collaborate मतलब to co-create solutions together. Again, यहाँ पे ये gesture बहुत important है to show that you are ready to look for solutions together. So इससे क्या होता है? इससे हम ये मैसेज ट्रांसमिट कर सकते हैं that this is not a you problem. This is our problem. कोई भी कम्युनिकेशन में ये चीज आप ऑब्जर्व करना, जब भी आप ये यू टू वी ये वाला पर्सपेक्टिव लेते हो ना, the other person feels that we are in this together. ये सिर्फ मेरा प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, ये सबका प्रॉब्लम है. इससे क्या होता है? इससे हम ब्लेम नहीं करते किसी को कि आज ये जो प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है इन दोनों टीम्स के बीच, इसमें ऐसा नहीं कि आई एम ब्लेमिंग यू और ब्लेमिंग द अदर टीम और विद इन अ टीम. आई एम नॉट ब्लेमिंग वन पर्सन. So if I try to transmit this message, let's see, I am with you and I am trying to look for solution with you because we are in this together. ये हम सब की problem है. So when you try to put that perspective, उससे क्या होता है? The other person feels included and वो समझता है कि आप एम्पैथाइज कर रहे हो. सो हाफ ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम यहीं पे सॉल्व हो जाती है. इफ यू कंटिन्यूअसली ब्लेम समबडी, यू नीड टू डू दिस, यू आर नॉट डूइंग दिस राइट, यू नीड टू एड्रेस दिस, आपको ये सही करना है, ये एटीट्यूड यहाँ नहीं चलेगा. इससे क्या होता है? आई एम ब्लेमिंग यू, आई एम अक्यूजिंग यू ऑफ समथिंग. उससे आप क्या होता है? आपको लगता है कि देयर इज सम प्रॉब्लम विथ मी. ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है कि मेरे साथ कोई प्रॉब्लम है? मैं किसी से कम थोड़ी हूं. सो सी द फोकस ऑफ द कम्युनिकेशन दैट मूव्स टू समथिंग एल्स. अभी फोकस कॉन्फ्लिक्ट रेजोल्यूशन पे नहीं है, फोकस कहां पे चला गया? ईगो. सो व्हेन यू ट्राई टू पुट दिस पर्सपेक्टिव इन फ्रंट, that we are trying to co-create solutions together, उससे क्या होता है? ईगो खत्म हो जाती है वहीं पे. And this is very natural. If I blame you, if I single you out, कि आपकी वजह से ये प्रॉब्लम है, obviously you will feel कि मुझे blame किया जा रहा है. So peace method में, after preparing your facts, emphasizing, analyzing the root cause, it is important to put this perspective across that you are trying to collaborate or create solutions and evaluate. जहाँ से मैंने शुरू किया था, feedback. This is feedback. Evaluate. Follow up. क्योंकि हम workplace communication की बात कर रहे हैं, यहाँ पे follow ups बहुत important होते हैं. That is कि आज हमने ये जो discussion किया है, तो अभी क्या उसका सिचुएशन है? So are we getting anywhere near to reducing the conflict, or is it not actually helping? So in that case, we will have to revise, meet again and revise. So this is my suggestion, that not just in workplace communication or conflict resolution, you can use this peace method in any communication conflicts. To prepare yourself first, then empathize, then analyze the root causes, then collaborate, try to collaborate, or at least put this perspective across that you are interested in collaborating, and then evaluate. That is, trying to get the feedback, follow up. And I have also mentioned this golden rule that always address the behavior, not the person. ये कब होता है? बिहेवियर को आप एड्रेस करते हो, पर्सन को नहीं, ये कब होगा? कब होगा? When you empathize, when you understand that the problem is not with the person, he or she might be going through something. Of course, there are certain situations जब हमारे लिए ये possible नहीं होता है कि हमेशा हम समझें what that person is going through. But I would say that it's important to at least make that gesture. For a moment, keep this in mind that it is not the person that you are, you should be addressing to reduce any conflict, to resolve any conflict. It is the behavior. We need to address the behavior. So this is a case study और ये आप सबके लिए एक एक्टिविटी होगी. That is, I have given you a background. Background क्या है? That Sarvesh, a project manager, manages a 6-person remote development team. Development team, remote work. Okay. 6-person remote development team. Now, Anand, who is a senior developer in this project, has missed 3 consecutive deadlines over the past month. Anand has missed 3 consecutive deadlines over the past month, impacting the overall project timeline. Obviously, Anand miss कर चुका है 3 बार. The project timeline जो है वो भी delay हो गया. During today's team video call with all members present, video call हो रहा है, मीटिंग हो रही है, तो वहां पे एक communication dialogue. Now Sarvesh says, Anand, you are always late with everything. This is becoming a real problem for the entire team. We can't keep making excuses to the client. Now Anand says, who is visibly frustrated, and he turns on the camera first. I am doing my best. You don't understand the technical challenges I'm facing. Maybe if we had better project planning, these issues wouldn't happen. So this is what Anand says, response to Sarvesh's comment. Now Sarvesh says, with his voice rising, technical challenges, everyone else manages to meet their deadlines. This is about accountability. Accountability matlab responsibility. This is about accountability. Now Anand says, fine, if that's how you see it, maybe you should find someone else to do my job. And he leaves the meeting. Team members, awkward silence, and some of them turning off their cameras. So this is a scenario. Now, the activity for you would be use the peace method and analyze what went wrong in this interaction. How should Sarvesh have approached this? How could Anand have responded better? And draft a better conversation script. मैं इस पे नहीं जा रहा हूँ अभी के लिए. It will take some time. So, my questions to you would be, what went wrong in this conversation? How should Sarvesh have approached this? How could Anand have responded better? So this is, I hope all of you can read the lines. Is it visible properly? Okay. So use the peace method जो मैंने बताया था अभी. Prepare, empathize, analyze, collaborate, and evaluate. Use the peace method, and for now, just give me what were the problems, what went wrong in this interaction. Yes.
manager Survesh has to be polite with Anand because he can't blame the person. He can blame the situation he can interact with the situation. He can ask that what is going on, what is you can tell me. We both can solve us. But he directly blamed that person that you are not able to do anything, and the person has like said that I am not doing anything. I am must be wrong, and he just make himself like I can't do anything, and he just left the meeting. The first question answer is that. Thanks. Anybody else?
So the project manager should be first of all polite, and the second, Sarvesh, the project manager should empathize Anand. He should see his point of view, like if he is facing some technical issue, so he should help him. And Anand should also be polite since he is senior team leader. He should be respectful to him. And that's all.
No, Anand is a senior developer. Sarvesh is the team leader.
Yes,
Okay? Project manager.
project manager. So Anand should be respectful to the
Both of them should have been respectful and polite.
polite.
Right. Anybody else? Yes. You.
मेरा जो मेन आंसर था वो तो बोल ही दिया कि सर्वेश को एम्पथाइज करना चाहिए था आनंद को उसकी सिचुएशन समझनी चाहिए थी कि वो उसको क्या इशू आ रहा है उसको क्या इशू कैसे रिजॉल्व करना है और आनंद को भी सर अपना जो इशू है वो मीटिंग में बताना चाहिए था कि मेरे को ये इशू आ रहा है तो इस पे क्या हम सब साथ में वर्क कर सकते हैं.
Right. Anybody else? Empathize पे हमारे पास 3 अलग-अलग आंसर्स आ चुके हैं. I guess.
Sarvesh should have empathized and also analyzed the problem. And Anand should have also empathized and also have to be respectful towards Sarvesh.
Any other points from the peace method? Prepare empathy पे काफी सारे points आ चुके हैं. Analyze पे 1 आ चुकी है. Any other points from the peace method? Prepare, collaborate, evaluate. People from the back? Anybody? It's very easy. I'm not judging you guys. We're just having a conversation. And I want to make it go both ways so that I can also learn something from you. Right? Anybody from the back? No? Student volunteers can also, yes. Okay, sure. Prepare, empathize, collaborate, yes.
Sir, first I would take the key point is prepare. They should be prepared. They should have a great planning of their work. That how should we do, how should we done that, and we don't miss the deadlines. And the E word is empathize. Empathize when that I explained before, and analyze that कि इसका क्या मेन रूट क्या है कि ये क्यों हो रहा है. इन दोनों को मिलके ये सॉल्व करना चाहिए था. उसको हम कहेंगे कोलैबोरेट. कि ये दोनों मिलके एक सॉल्यूशन निकालें और ये दोनों मिलके वर्क करें, ना कि ब्लेम करें एक दूसरे को. एंड द लास्ट वन इज इवैल्यूएट. एंड जो भी आउटकम्स आता है वो इन दोनों मतलब एक दूसरे की बात को समझें, फॉलो करें कि हाँ ठीक है अब जो हुआ ठीक है, अब ये आउटकम्स निकला, वी शुड फॉलो दैट एंड
Right. Okay. So I have tried to mention these issues based on every level of peace. So preparation issues क्या है? First is Sarvesh address this publicly instead of privately. So Sarvesh had some problem with, और Sarvesh को कुछ बात करनी थी, but he addressed this in a meeting where everybody was present. No fact gathering about Anand's specific challenges. Now Sarvesh had no idea. Sarvesh neither tried to gather facts. क्या हो सकता है problem? No clear objective beyond venting frustration. Sarvesh was just venting frustration. कि हम 3 बार डेडलाइन मिस कर चुके हैं जिसके वजह से पूरी प्रोजेक्ट टाइमलाइन डिले हो रहा है. He had no clear objectives to address the conflict. कि क्यों नहीं हो पा रहा है ये टाइम से. So there was no objective in Sarvesh's message. Empathy, Sarvesh used accusatory language, as many of you pointed out, that you are always late. He was blaming, plain blaming Anand. Didn't acknowledge Anand's workload or challenges. Sarvesh ने कहीं acknowledge नहीं किया, ना समझने की कोशिश की. Anand became defensive instead of explaining his situation, as you pointed out. That Anand को भी अपना issues क्या है, क्या challenges है, आनंद को भी बताना चाहिए था. अब आनंद क्या हो गया, डिफेंसिव पोजीशन में. Why? Because Sarvesh was blaming him. और जो अभी हम थोड़ी देर पहले बात कर रहे थे कि अगर मैं आपको सिंगल आउट करता हूं, अगर मैं आपको कंटिन्यूअस ब्लेम करता हूं इंस्टेड ऑफ एड्रेसिंग द सिचुएशन और द बिहेवियर, क्या होगा, ईगो क्लैश. और ईगो क्लैश से क्या होता है, आप डिफेंसिव हो जाते हो. यू डू नॉट ट्राई टू कम्युनिकेट फर्दर. What are the other issues? Analysis problems क्या था यहाँ पे? Attack the person, not the behavior. No exploration of root causes. No analysis whatsoever. कि क्या problem है? Made assumptions about Anand's commitment. ये मैं क्यों बोल रहा हूँ? यहाँ पे है, सर्वेश बता रहा है, everyone else manages to meet their deadlines. This is about accountability. So इसका मतलब क्या है? Sarvesh was implying that you are irresponsible. और जब भी हम ऐसे बात करते हैं क्या होता है? Again, you become defensive because you feel कि मेरे बारे में ऐसे बात कर रहे हैं, मैं irresponsible हो सकता हूँ, मैं सीनियर डेवलपर हूँ, मैं काम कर रहा हूँ. So Sarvesh made assumptions. assumption मतलब होता है कि जब आप अपना एक थियरी बनाते हो अपने दिमाग में about somebody without any proof. कल आपके दोस्त क्लास में एब्सेंट है, आप ये assume करते हो कि वो मूवी देखने गया है इस वजह से एब्सेंट है. You have no proof, you have no facts, you make this assumption. आप अगले दिन अपने दोस्त को बोलते हो क्या सुपरमैन देखने गया था, मैंने बताया. So your friend will say that you are assuming things. I was not feeling well, that's why I had to take rest. So collaboration breakdowns क्या था यहाँ पे? No invitation for dialogue. Collaboration is looking for solutions together. So there was no dialogue on problem solving. Partnership की जगह क्या हो रहा था यहाँ पे? Power struggle. Senior developer और project manager दोनों ही senior है, तो यहाँ पे power struggle हो रहा है, ego clash हो रहा है instead of partnership. Partnership से क्या हो सकता था? Conflict resolution. Team became uncomfortable. सब अपने अपने cameras off कर दिए. Awkward silence because nobody knew how to approach this, what to say after this. If two senior people are fighting amongst themselves, you don't know what to say. So ultimately, this meeting proved ineffective. So here is and improve conversation using the peace method. So first क्या होता है यहाँ पे prepare. Sarvesh schedules private 30-minute call, reviews project timeline and Anand's recent work. So first Sarvesh prepares himself. That is the step one to address any conflict. So what he does is he schedules a private call and he reviews the project timeline कि project timeline क्या है और आनंद को भी कितना काम दिया गया है. Empathize, Sarvesh says, Anand, I want to start by acknowledging that you are typically very reliable. So पहले ही आप acknowledge करते हो कि आनंद, you are very reliable. I know that. And इसलिए मैं उस टाइम बोल रहा था कि it is very important to mention, even if you empathize, if you do not mention, the other person will never understand that you are understanding the situation. So it is very important to mention. So you empathize and you mention that you are typically very reliable. These recent delays seem unusual for you. So I'm concerned that there might be something I'm missing. So this shows that Sarvesh acknowledges that otherwise Anand is very reliable, very responsible person. क्योंकि अभी ये delays हो रहा है तो इसका मतलब कुछ तो problem है. There might be some issues. Anand says, thanks for asking Sarvesh. I have been dealing with some unexpected technical debt in the legacy systems that is taking much longer to resolve than anticipated. So when you make this gesture that I am ready to have this dialogue, I know you are overburdened with work, you are reliable, you are responsible, but recently अभी ये delays हो रहा है, कुछ तो issues वो क्या है फिर issues? You will only feel like sharing when you make this effort. This answers your question कि क्यों आनंद ने अपनी issues के बारे में नहीं बताया? Because Anand never felt the need. Next, analyze. Sarvesh says, can you help me understand the root cause? Is this a skills gap, resource issue, or something with the original project scope? See how detailed the conversation is. सिर्फ blame game नहीं है, detailed conversation कि कहाँ पे problem होगा. This shows that Sarvesh has prepared himself well. So when I am having this conversation with you, if I understand that you have prepared yourself well, तो मैं भी कोशिश करूँगा collaboration के लिए. Because I will understand that you are trying to understand my perspective and you have prepared yourself as well. So then we can have a very effective communication. I will feel motivated to have this discussion with you. But if I feel कि आपने कुछ preparation किया ही नहीं, बस blame game कर रहे हो, I will not feel motivated to engage in a discussion. Right? Anand says it is primarily a scope issue. तो mention करते हैं कि कहाँ पे problem है. And then collaborate. Sarvesh says, let's think about solutions together. What do you need from me to address the current technical challenges? So this is how you show that you are up for collaboration. This is how you put this across, put this perspective across. कि आप इस चीज में, इस टॉपिक में आप दोनों एक साथ हैं. मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा हूं कि आपको सोल्यूशन लेके आना है. मैं बोल रहा हूं कि हम दोनों मिलकर सोल्यूशन ढूंढेंगे. So let's have this conversation. What do you want from me so that we can resolve this issue? And next, evaluate. Let's check in again in 1 week to see how the new approach is working. So this is how you follow up. जो solution आपने आप दोनों मिलके solution आपने बनाया है. If this is working. So after a week, we can meet, and this shows a proper communication, proper conversation that is focused on resolving a conflict instead of a blame game. So this is how you use the peace method to resolve any conflict. So to bring this all together, what have we gathered from this discussion? I hope that you have gathered these observations after this session. That communication is a skill, it is not a talent. It can be developed. ज्यादातर हम सब में ये गलतफहमी होती है कि मेरे अंदर ये टैलेंट नहीं है कि मैं बहुत अच्छी तरह कम्युनिकेट कर सकूं. This is not a talent. It is a skill. If you have diagnosed कि मुझे इस चीज में प्रॉब्लम है, वोकैबुलरी कम है, स्टॉक ऑफ वर्ड्स कम है, या फिर आपको स्टेज फ्राइट है. If you have diagnosed the problem, half the job is done. It is a skill that you need to develop. It is not a talent. Context matters more than content in many situations. जहाँ से हमने शुरू किया था कि text and context. So context in many situations to resolve any conflict, understanding the context becomes very important than the content. So why somebody is saying something rather than what he or she is saying. So understanding the context, where is that person coming from? Literally nahi ki where is that person coming from? Metaphorically. It is क्यों this particular person is saying something or looking at this particular issue in this manner. So context, understanding the context, understanding the background of a conversation. Digital tools amplify both good and bad communication. ये सब हम already encounter कर चुके हैं. We experience this in our everyday lives. Psychological safety is the foundation of great communication. What is psychological safety? Psychological safety is when I observe or when I feel that I can safely discuss this with this person. So what does it connect to? Again, empathy. So it is very important to resolve any conflict. You need to ensure that it is a safe space to have this conversation. अगर आप फ्रेंड को लगता है कि आपके साथ ये चीज डिस्कस करने से this will not be shared with other people, you will only feel motivated to share what you are going through, what is the problem that you are experiencing on a daily basis. If that person feels कि आपको बताने से कोई फायदा नहीं है, आप इस चीज को मॉक कर सकते हो, और भी 4 लोगों से डिस्कस कर सकते हो, then यहाँ पे एम्पैथी नहीं है, यहाँ पे सेफ स्पेस नहीं है. So psychological safety, that is ensuring a safe space to have a conversation together. If you want to share something with me, और मैं अगर ये इंश्योर करता हूँ कि आप मेरे साथ जो शेयर करोगे, whatever problem you are going through, अगर आपको लगता है कि I am not going to share this with other people, then only you will feel motivated to share it with me. So what I am doing is I am ensuring psychological safety. Practice plus feedback. So to conclude, I would just like to mention that developing your soft skills or mastering your soft skills, it all depends on practice. That's the only key. There is nothing else. No other method, no other, tip or secret. Practice. You just need to practice saying, speaking, communicating with people. And this applies to everyday communication as well as official workplace communication. Right? So, any questions, anything, any observations that you would like to add into this session? Anything you would like to share? Yes? We will keep discussing all these things as I mentioned in the class. But since we are having this session here today, before we break for lunch, Do we have some questions or any of the questions? हमेशा question होना जरूरी नहीं होता. You can share something that you feel, something that you have observed regarding soft skills or communication in general. Anything? Has it been helpful? बस इतना ही. जोर से बोलो. So आपको क्यों लगता है कि हेल्पफुल हुआ है? कोई ये भी बता दे मुझे. Something that you would like to share? Anybody? Again, I'm not judging you. मैं यहाँ पे आपको जज करने नहीं हूँ. हम यहाँ पे collaboration के लिए. Here to collaborate. Anybody? Why do you think this session has been helpful? Anybody else other than you two? I will come back to you. Anybody else? People from the back, you have participated in any activities? Yes.
इस सेशन से एक नया पर्सपेक्टिव मिला है कि हमें कम्युनिकेशन कैसे करनी चाहिए और हमें इफेक्टिव कम्युनिकेशन कैसे. हमें पता चला है कि हमें अपनी जब हम एक टीम में हैं तो हमें उस टीम को साथ में लेके.
Right. Teamwork is very important when it comes to workplace communications. Anybody else? पीछे कोई? Yes. You can also share if you have any other observations. You know, कुछ अगर
Morning, sir.
Yes, yes.
सर जैसे कि अभी हम स्कूल लाइफ छोड़ के कॉलेज लाइफ में आए तो आज का सेशन हमें न्यू फ्रेंड्स न्यू फ्रेंडली एनवायरनमेंट बनाने में मदद करेगा.
Right. Any other observations? Any questions? Yes. Yeah, me. Front.
Sir, what would you say when I say that workplace conflicts, people also need courage to tell what they wanted to discuss.
Sorry, I don't understand.
People need courage to discuss what they wanted to discuss.
Courage.
Courage. Self doubt होती है ना सर वो सबको.
बिल्कुल. सेल्फ डाउट यही तो मैं बात कर रहा हूँ कि आप तभी फील करोगे मोटिवेटेड इनफ टू शेयर योर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यूज जब आप ये महसूस करोगे कि आई एम अप फॉर डिस्कसिंग दिस मैटर्स. एंड दैट इज अगेन एम्पैथी and making this space safe enough to have you contribute. Courage, आप तभी you will feel afraid जब situation ऐसा tense होगा जहाँ पे nobody is nobody feels motivated enough to share their points. अगर मैं classroom में ऐसे environment create कर दूँ कि whoever asks a question I will put them outside. Or if I say that whatever I am saying in class, whatever I am delivering, you need to write it and you need to memorize it. There is no other way to learn things. When I create environments tense like this, you will feel afraid. Because आपको ये लगेगा कि सर जो बात कर रहे हैं अगर if I do not do it like this, then एक तो सर मुझे बाहर कर देंगे, दूसरा I will not learn this. But if I make the environment safe enough, if I make the environment encouraging, जहाँ पे आपको लगेगा कि everybody's perspectives are being respected over here. That's why I always try to keep my classes, I don't take my classes as classes. I always mention them as discussions. Why? Because we are here to discuss things. I'm not here to only lecture you. If I, focus my classes or any meeting जहां पे मैं ये इंश्योर करता हूं कि मैं डिस्कशन के लिए यहाँ पे आया हूं, तो यू विल नॉट फील अफ्रेड, राइट? आपको लगेगा कि whatever my perspective is, sir or any person, he will respect it or she will respect it. So you will feel motivated enough to say things. So that is the whole point with courage, I would say. Now self-doubt is prepare. If you are prepared enough, then you will not feel self-doubt. और ये self-doubt एक और चीज से connected है, that is again judging. That people will judge me. My point is, people will judge you anyway. Even if you say something, if you don't say something, people will judge you. Whoever here is to judge you, they will judge you, whatever you do. So how does it matter? जो यहाँ पे जज करने आए वो मुझे वैसे भी जज करेंगे, मैं ये सेशन लूंगा तो भी जज करेंगे, क्लास में जाऊंगा तो भी जज करेंगे, नहीं करेंगे, अगर मैं कुछ नहीं करूंगा तो भी जज करेंगे, तो फिर मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, जज करो जिसको जो करना है ना? So your focus should be on preparing yourself. Your focus should always be on your growth, not what other people are thinking. People will think anyway. Give them content. क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Yes. Anybody else? Any other questions? Any other observations?
Well, मैंने सेशन से ये लर्न किया कि लाइक हम लोग अग्रेशन दिखाना भी जरूरी नहीं होता, हम जो सिचुएशन है उसे कामली हैंडल कर सकते हैं बाय कम्युनिकेटिंग विद दैट पर्सन.
Right. Because हमारा फोकस इस पे होना चाहिए conflict resolution. Okay. Share the mics to them. They had something to discuss. आप कुछ शेयर करना था ना? अच्छा. I will not keep you further from your lunch. You may have your lunch, and after the lunch, we will have an alumni interaction session. Okay? Thank you so much.